Justice for Burnt. Why does everyone say it's a bad movie? It's beautiful to look at. The food is gorgeous. I thought that movie was good. And then I saw everyone shit on it and I was like, oh, I don't know how to decide what's good or not.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Sam Irby is a humorist, TV writer, and the author of an incredible essay collection, Quietly Hostile, among other titles. On this episode, we talk about so many things: Chicago pizza, living in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Bosnian food in Grand Rapids, car wash dudes in Kalamazoo, and what it's like to write lines for Carrie Bradshaw, as well as giving Carrie Bradshaw diarrhea. Also on this episode, I speak with Clare Boer, the chef and owner of Stissing House, a restaurant located in New York's Hudson Valley that I like very, very much. Clare is also the chef owner of two New York City restaurants, King and Jupiter. We speak with Clare about her time working at the River Cafe in London and her journey to America to open some of the country's best restaurants. Sam Irby, welcome to Taste Podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is very nice. This is a nice setup you have in here.
We try. We put up some curtains. We have a green screen here, so we could actually just go vid if you want.
Okay, so we could do like Avatar.
We could.
After.
Yeah, we could
talk. Okay, great.
Yeah. Well, I want to first say, thank you for being nice to my hometown of Kalamazoo, Michigan. You live there. I used to live there. You're nice-ish.
I am. At first, I wasn't, right? Because coming from Chicago, I was like, where is the stuff? Where are the restaurants? Like, where do you put on your nice shoes to go to? Although, have you been back recently? We have some fancy restaurants now.
I go back 3-4 times a year. I see my family. My mom lives there. My aunt and uncle live there. And I want you to kind of describe this town's food scene because there's some real quirks to it. But I feel like you really tap into some, and we'll get into some of the restaurant picks that you write about.
The food scene. Okay, this is gonna sound so messed up, but you can tell these new fancy places. You can tell they're like trying to model after big city fancy places, which, is fine. The scene mostly is like small. I mean, we don't eat out at that many places because there aren't many.
Yeah.
I like to look around at cute stuff or, nice, not architecture. What do I know about architecture? But I just want to see some cute people serving. And there are not a lot of places like that. But so we do a lot of Shawarma King.
Oh, yeah.
Which is my favorite.
Oh, yeah, on Drake Road.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
The Drake one is the only one. The other one is buffet.
Total mid. Yeah,
and
the one on Drake is the one.
We're not doing that. Not in the COVID era. We're not eating at a buffet. But the scene is not, to me, not a scene. There are some new places that people are starting to go, and then there are just the places you always eat that everyone always eats.
I just think you write about the city with such voice, and it is not a punchline, which I appreciate.
Right.
It really isn't a punchline. It's just more about texture.
Because I love it there.
I was gonna ask you. You're gonna stay, it sounds like.
I am going to stay. So when I was going back and forth, when my wife and I were dating and I lived in the city and I was taking the Amtrak back and forth, I was like, I don't know if I could live here, right? There aren't enough people. There's not enough stuff.
Yeah.
But then once I moved, maybe 2 or 3 months in, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I don't have to stand butts to nuts with a million people on the train.
Yeah.
There's a parking spot.
Butts and nuts. So well said. It's exactly why I moved to the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
No more butts and nuts.
Yeah, I cannot be touching other people anymore. There's parking space everywhere you want to go.
And you don't have to pay for it.
Correct. My stepson worked at Saffron, the Indian restaurant, for years.
Can we go there?
Yes, we can. We were just there last week. It's so good. like, reliable. It's owned by actual Indian people.
My uncle's their attorney, and I
He
go there.
is?
Yeah, and I go there all the time, and I love that they do kind of like Punjabi mostly, but they kind of go around the country. It's really
Mhm.
unique menu.
It's so good. I've never had a bad thing from there, ever.
Oh,
So, like, I started to find places that I liked
yeah.
and, places that felt like home to me. And the first time I went back to Chicago, right, I was on the Skyway and getting off the Skyway, going into the city, I was like, "I hate this.
Mhm.
I can't come back to this."
Ah.
The traffic, the smog, the people everywhere. That I mean, it's sort of a backhanded compliment to be like, "I hate this place, so this other place is
Yeah,
better."
it's
But it's better. Also, can we talk about how, like, a person like me could have a house?
mhm,
I cannot have a house
mhm,
in a big city
mhm.
because they're too expensive. I mean, who can?
Yeah.
And, like, in Kalamazoo, they'll give you a house for, like, 35 bucks. It's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, t it's yours."
Yeah, no, they're nice houses, and it's a great spot. Now, we could go all day about. I have a couple questions about restaurants, but I want to get into your writing,
Mhm.
and because like food is a thread. I mean, you were in the elevator saying you're not a food person, but come on, like Chub Street Diet in your new book, Quietly Hostile, is like honestly give it the James Beard Award now.
Oh my god, that is so nice of you to say. I hope they're listening because I will accept that
It's a
award.
beautiful piece of writing, and I love that you use the term frizzled when referring to shallots.
Yeah.
Anna
Yeah.
Heasel, my former colleague, and I have joked forever about that term, which is not really a term.
Like, what it I kinda know what it means. It's like fried, but fancy fried, right?
Uh,
It's fried, but, like, not dumped in a vat of oil
yeah,
fried.
it's not a term. It doesn't mean anything. It's what bad food writers put in bad copy, in my opinion. Sorry, food writers. But you pick up on the voice though of food writing. And are there any other terms in food writing that annoy you?
Braised.
Whoa.
Braised, first of all, it sounds gross, like, right? Like, braised. Sounds gross, and I have not been able to achieve it.
Okay, let's unpack that. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, it does sound gross. You think about like like human hot tub.
Yes.
You're like
Yeah,
like
braised.
braised. But when you say you haven't been able to achieve it, let's like what do you mean?
Like, I had this recipe for braised chicken thighs, right? And when I picture something braised, it's, like, kinda, like, burnty, crunchy on the outside and, like, tender inside, and I'm a good cook, let me start by saying that.
Yeah.
I'm a good cook, but I couldn't get the, like, ratio of, like, golden outside to tender inside. I've tried to do it with meat. I just am not good at waiting for meat to cook or
Yeah.
or, like, knowing how to get it just
It's
right.
I feel like your inclination is maybe more of a roast with chicken thighs.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not trying to like give you notes.
No,
You get enough
please give
notes
me
in life.
please.
You're a television writer. You get notes all the time.
Oh my god, every day with the notes. Yeah, so
But
braising I haven't, like, perfected.
yeah, but I mean, braising is great for breaking down like tissues for like beef and shit like that.
Yeah. See, I don't ever cook big pieces of meat.
Mhm.
It's too intimidating.
The term braise is used with chicken thighs all the time, though. So you're absolutely right. It's like really annoying when
Yes.
you get too much liquid. It's like a soupy,
Yes.
and the skin is not even good. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it doesn't work. Every braised chicken recipe, throw it away. It doesn't work.
You refer to adulthood as learning to love unsalted squash. Absolute truths. Absolute truth. Okay. First off, yes. And second, are there any other foods that you signify adulthood to you? Because this is great.
Cauliflower. Definitely did not start eating cauliflower until I was an adult. And even now I'm like, cauliflower, can we put it in something? What else is an adult food? Celery. I know kids eat like ants on a log or whatever, but that's peanut butter and raisins.
Hmm.
They're not eating this.
It's like a delivery vehicle. That's all that is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I've used salads. I'm like, it's a delivery vehicle for the dressing.
Yeah.
You
Blue
can put
cheese.
anything. You can put shoes in a salad, and I'll eat it if it has the right dressing
Yeah.
on it. but celery, like, so many adults are like, "Put celery in that," and I hate it. The strings, it tastes disgusting,
Yeah.
but I do love celery salt.
Oh, yeah, salts. Yeah, it's
Celery salt,
great for a salad.
great. Celery, the
What about celery root? Celeriac?
I don't think I've ever used it.
It's nuts, it's not good. So I'm following you. I think, like, unsalted squash is definitely one of those
Yeah.
things.
Wait, you know what's a big one that, is gonna be controversial? Sunny side up eggs.
Oh, yeah.
That is a food for kids, don't eat that shit. Um, every adult acts like it's like nectar from the gods to put an egg on
Put an egg
something,
on it meme from, like, 2005, yeah.
and I think it's disgusting.
It's
I don't love eggs.
no, man.
Mm-mm.
I love eggs when they're, like, integrated, but, like, the sunny side, too much yolk.
No, too much yolk, and it's, like, runny and snotty.
Ugh.
I can't do it.
Okay, Sam, I gotta give it. What's your general take on Chicago versus West Michigan pizza? I feel like you have something.
Well, is West Michigan pizza, like, a thing?
Indeed, it is.
What do you mean, like, buddies?
Have you been to Fricano's?
No.
Oh, yo, out in Alamo.
No, I'll go.
It's so I think of West Michigan as a version of tavern style, very thin
Mhm,
crust.
mhm.
Pepperoni's leading the charge with sausage as a second
Uh-huh.
choice. Fricano's is fire. It's the best.
Okay, I will go.
Buddy's is more Detroit.
Yeah, yeah. We just got a Buddies in Kalamazoo.
Oh, yeah.
Detroit, okay, so I don't love deep dish, like the, like, vomit tomato cheese concoction that most people think
Fully
of.
agree.
I can't do that. Malnati's, butter crust with the layer of sausage
Yeah.
under the cheese. That is my ministry. I
Yeah.
know everybody, like, loves Pequods. No, for me, it's Malnati's.
It's the Church of Lou.
Yes.
The Church of Lou Malnati's.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will not stray. But I don't always love deep dish. It's too much. My favorite is like a thin crust pub cut.
So that's West Michigan pie.
Well, I haven't found one yet.
You know, Sam, you are unpacking something that's very. West Michigan just stole it from Chicago tavern style. So
Yeah.
you're a tavern style head.
Okay, then I need to
Fricano's.
find a place. Okay, Fricano's.
Fricano's
I will
is really
go there.
good. All right. Transitioning a little bit to your TV writing, I will return to Quietly Hostile because I think there's a lot of the Chub Street diet. First off, wow, that's just great. Love that. Again, I love that. But let's talk about writing for And Just Like That,
Mhm.
because you write in the book about how you clinched the deal when you were on a Zoom with one of the creators and you talked about giving Carrie diarrhea,
Yeah.
and that was basically the way you
Yeah.
sold the deal. So, what is Carrie's relationship with food?
Well, they eat constantly on the show, right? Like they're always in a fabulous restaurant
Yeah.
eating. That is one of the things I love about it, that you just watch these women eating. I mean, twice, 3 times an episode, they're always eating. The food always looks good. And in real life, like at table reads and stuff, like they all eat. They're not like, like I expected everyone to be like sipping on a warm lemon water. But like one of the first table reads, SJ was eating a like lobster roll
Yeah.
as big as her head. And I was like, man, I am in love with her. Carrie as the character loves to be in a restaurant, loves to eat, loves to be like the belle of the ball at the table, like I think she eats.
Oh, yeah.
I think she eats.
I think like her journalism career, being a columnist downtown, she definitely had a lot of experience with restaurants. I would imagine she probably went to like early days, went to like Odeon, back in the 80s maybe.
Uh-huh.
But what about Charlotte? Does she have taste? Because she's got like this upbringing that maybe had her eating some pretty nice restaurants too.
Charlotte is so fancy. Well, first of all, Charlotte cooks. She's like
That's
the
right.
one who like will make a brisket.
She makes
and
the
make-
Jewish food.
Yeah, and make
Yeah.
challah. I think oh God, I wish I could spoil some things. You're gonna see Charlotte eating some food you wouldn't expect
Mhm.
this season.
I love it. I can't wait.
I'll tell you where when we're done. And Charlotte, I think she like feels fussy,
Yeah.
but isn't fussy. I feel like she would eat, like, if you were like, "Hey, we're getting nuggets," she'd be like, "Get me a 9-piece."
I have to say an aside, the Chucky on the subway moment from the first season of And Just Like That is brilliant. Were you involved in that?
Yes, that was my
That's
pitch.
you. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
okay, so
Okay.
I hate New York. I'm sorry, New Yorkers, but everyone in New York thinks it's the center of the universe, and it's like, okay, there are other places. Um, but so one day I was on Twitter and I saw a video of the New York subway. Somebody in a little Chucky costume was like attacking people who weren't wearing masks.
Yeah.
So
Oh
I saw that. I sent the link to everyone in the writer's room and I was like, see, this is why I hate where you live. So then the room started and uh Michael Patrick King, the creator, our boss, was like, I love that video that you sent. Let's put it in the show. And I was like, fuck you. You're not gonna let us do that, right? And he was like, no, it's in. And then he did it. It almost got cut. I think
Oh,
HBO was like, get that out of here.
they just thought it was too weird or like or trademark.
Yes.
It's weird. Which is,
Yeah, but he fought for it.
yeah.
And I mean, that's one of my favorite things about the show is that like it's weird.
It's a really
we get to
good
throw a lot
show.
of weird stuff in there that you wouldn't expect.
It's a real and it clearly it's written by at least half of the staff or some of the staff who actually hate New York. It makes it
I infected the whole thing
The
with my
room.
hatred of New
I think. I mean, you write about this in your new book, but like, are you somebody's like, holy fuck, I'm writing these characters who I love? Because you're a fan of the show like myself.
Yes, I was a fan from the first
Me
season.
too.
I still can't. I mean, the most shocking thing to me was when we're in the room and Michael's like handing out episode assignments. And the fact that I got one, I was like, wait, whoa. You're going to let me write an episode of this? Like, I thought I was just going to be in there to like zhuzh, add some sprinkles of like
Yeah.
jokes or whatever. I was like, you're going to let me write an episode?
Like real arc stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then he let me write the episode. I got to write of steamy, sexy.
Yeah. Was this from this season too?
It's from season 1.
Oh, which one?
Episode 5.
Okay.
When Che fingers Miranda.
Yeah. Rewatching that one.
Um,
Yeah. I like that episode a lot. Yep.
And we couldn't get Carrie to poop, but there's pee in my episode.
It's nice.
And
It's on brand. I love it.
there's an episode where she projectile vomits. That's like the greatest thing I've ever seen in my
I thought that the episode and also like the pure disdain for podcasting too. Clearly, you nail it so.
This season, you're going to see, I think she's doing some ad reads.
Oh god.
And you're going to see her be like, what is this? What am I selling?
Oh my god. So the new season is in the can. Did you go on set? Do you go on set when they shoot?
No, because they don't pay me to be on set. I'm
Yeah.
not that high up. So I'm like, come to a city I hate and watch people work for 12 hours
No.
a day for free.
No.
I'm not doing that.
But you're on strike right now. So
I am.
you're gonna fix that maybe?
Well, I hope so. Although, like, I like the pressure of not, or the lack of pressure from not being on
Yeah.
set.
Sure.
Like, I sometimes like forget what we even wrote or what they're shooting because, like, I'm so disconnected. I'm like sitting in Michigan, not thinking about Carrie and her shoes. But like, yeah, if they changed it so I had to come on set, I mean, I would do it, but I
Mhm.
would be mad about it.
You'd be mad about it. You're a writer. You're a pure writer. Were you on set for Shrill at all?
Yes, I went
That's
to
a
set.
great show too. I love that. You're
It was
talented.
it was so great. I went to set for a week, the week that we shot the episode I wrote,
Oh,
the
right.
pool party episode, and it was amazing, but also like as a writer, you just kind of like sit in Video Village
Yeah.
and watch a million takes, and that is exciting for 1 week. That is not exciting
No.
for months on
No, it's why people like tend to like probably drink a lot and then hook up on sets.
Yes, yeah.
sheer boredom.
Sheer boredom.
Well, let's talk about food though. In an IRL writing room,
Mhm.
Have you ever experienced, like, good food? Is there, like, a way to, like, quantify, like, is it basic cable's better than streaming? And then you've got, like, Freevee, because I feel Freevee's got maybe money, but maybe not. Shout out to Judy, by the way.
Oh,
Ooh,
oh, that show is so
so
good.
good.
Oh my I was, like, crying, laughing, watching
Real
that.
good.
So I've only been in 1 in-person writing no, I've been in 2
Okay.
in-person
Alright.
writing
Yep,
rooms.
so you can judge. There you go.
Yeah, okay, so in LA, for Shrill, the lunches every day were obscene. They were so
Oh,
good. We
nice.
always got really good place, like, what is that? Like, Night Market something,
Oh,
something, the
night
Thai
plus
place.
yeah, night
Yeah.
market, really good.
Yeah, we would get that for lunch, which is
Whoa.
really insane.
That's, like, expensive. That's, like, some real
Yes.
money right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I don't
good.
know who was paying for it, but
Nah.
I was putting in my orders
Hulu?
every
I don't
day.
know.
Um,
Good.
and then, like, people bringing well, I feel weird, like, when people are, like, bringing me coffee
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm like, I could go get my own coffee. But then, like, a few days into it, I was like, yeah, could you tell the coffee guy I want an iced whatever?
Yeah.
So that was really exceptional. In Chicago, I was in a writer's room for Work in Progress, and we
Mm.
got lunch every day. But it was like places I knew because I lived
Yeah.
there, right? So it's like not exciting.
You got
But
Lou's
it
one
was
day, I'm sure. Lou Manali's one day?
no, no, we mostly got like foods that it was we were at Lily Wachowski's studio, which is in Ravenswood, really close to Andersonville. So we mostly got like Andersonville local
Cool.
foods. It was delicious. It was great.
Speaking of Chicago productions, I have to ask you about The Bear.
Yeah.
I have to ask you about The Bear. I mean, she get asked a bit, but I mean, it's a big. We've had a couple of the actors on the show. Chris Storer is going to be on the show at some point, the creator. What'd you feel about that show?
I loved it.
You don't have to whisper either.
I know.
Let's say
I
it fully throated.
I loved it. First of all, I love Io. I will watch
Oh.
her. I mean, truly do anything.
She was in that chair that you're sitting in. She was an amazing guest on the show. I'll link in the show notes.
Out of here.
She's
Oh my
amazing.
God, I love her. So I would watch her do anything. The main dude, very sexy. I have heard people say that it's not authentically Chicago, but there was a scene where I cannot remember any of these characters' names. Main dude,
Yeah,
cousin Richie.
yeah, Richie, of course.
Were in the car, and Richie said, take the Edens,
Mm.
which is what we call 94
Yeah.
going north. And I was like, okay, like, no one says. You remember The Good Wife was supposed to be in Chicago, and
No.
it's like, that we can tell.
Dude,
It's not.
if you plugged into AIM 720, you're gonna get the Edens. You know, you're gonna know the
yes.
Edens. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay, like this is feeling like home. I have to admit though that I have never had an Italian beef,
I mean,
even though I'm from Chicago.
but like that's kind of not that great, though.
It's so messy.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like wet. I don't if you like eating wet
Yeah,
food.
it's
A wet food that's not soup. Like,
exactly.
duh.
It's a weird food. I never really had it as a kid either. And my dad grew up in Rogers Park, so I went to Chicago a lot. And like honestly, it was interesting that it was, but I'm sure Southside has a little bit of a different culture.
Well, I lived in Rogers Park for like 20 years, so and I'm
East or
from
west?
Evanston. East.
Yeah,
By
ERP.
are you kidding? By the lake.
My dad was at Columbia and Sheridan. That's where he grew up.
I lived at Lunt and Sheridan.
Oh, I know who that is. That's great neighborhood. Of
Sonny's Food on the corner
Oh,
where
yeah.
you can get like cigarettes, booze,
course.
a sip of someone else's drink while
There's
they're standing
those
in
those
line.
beach nights in July and August, man. There's some stuff going on the beaches.
Yes, it is. So I lived on the other side of Sheridan, not the beach
Yeah.
side. So I got like less of the late night beach activity, but still close enough to like feel the breeze and like see people
Go
in
over to
their
Farwell
bikinis.
Pier.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful
yeah.
place. That's
I
cool.
love Rogers Park.
Yeah, RP is really underrepresented when we talk about Chicago, I guess. It's one of
Yeah.
those neighborhoods.
It's like the most diverse
It is.
neighborhood in the city.
It's cool.
I don't know why people like shit on it. Like, is it because it's cheap
Yeah.
up there? Or I don't know, but it's the best.
I think people shit on it because it's not like 8 other neighborhoods that have like trendy restaurants
Right.
in there, maybe. I
Did
don't
you know the Heartland closed?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's done.
I used to go there in the
She gone.
90s. Oh,
It's
no.
done.
Brutal.
that made me sad.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about Rogers Park,
Yes.
but like back to Chicago and the bear, I feel like there are some scenes in there that I feel like you could rewrite. I feel like you could.
Which
I don't
ones?
know. Like I feel like it's almost a perfect show. But do you have any thoughts on the way the arc? Because this
Any
is your
notes?
trade.
I mean, first of all, that is so kind of you to think that I watch anything critically.
Yeah.
Um, what would I change? I mean, here's the thing. I would because I'm a creep, I would inject some romance in there somewhere.
It's gonna happen.
Between who?
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I think that you're so right that there was no romance. That was
Mhm.
almost a strength of the show because you
Mhm.
really wanted to focus on
Yep.
recovery. It was a
Mhm.
show about recovery. But like television is television. You need romance.
Yeah, I gotta see some smooching.
I mean, there's gonna be something.
Yeah,
I don't
I
want to
hope so.
speculate because
The pastry chef is so hot.
yeah,
So I would love to see him
he's great.
and Sydney get together. I mean,
Yeah.
just something, just a little spice.
Yeah.
I like a little spice.
Let's talk about food TV because you're such a fan of television. You
Mhm.
work in the industry, but you also are a fan. Are there any food television shows that are actually good that you think? Because The Bear was I felt like a bright shining moment of a lot of like mid to lower mid programming.
Mhm. I mean, I watch Top Chef. Does reality count?
We can, I like reality, so I guess I was thinking more dramatic, but
What are some other dramatic kitchen
I mean, I think about like
shows?
Burnt. I think about
Okay, all right. Justice for Burnt.
okay, there we go.
Why does everyone say it's a bad movie? You're about to tell me why. I I
No, I'm not.
I loved it for it's beautiful to look at. The food is gorgeous. I don't know anything about high-end restaurants or Michelin stars, although I just became friends with Ileana
Oh,
Regan,
cool.
who is a Michelin star
Amazing
chef.
author.
Yeah,
Just great
both
writer.
of her books,
Terrific
incredible,
writer, yeah.
incredible. So now I can be like, my friend's a Michelin.
No, definitely.
But I don't know anything about that. I don't know what it takes. I thought that movie was good, and then I saw everyone shit on it, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to
I
uh, decide what's good or not. But it was good.
Sam,
to
I'm
me.
not going to yuck on your yum. That's not where I feel like we can't go there with food TV. And honestly, I think I was searching for a different question because I feel like there's a show that you want to make.
About food. Well, I mean, okay, in my failed pilot,
Oh,
it's okay.
can't you reheat things? Doesn't that happen?
I mean, sometimes.
Nothing's ever dead in Hollywood, right?
Well, if you are trying to make a show about a fat bitch with diarrhea, they put you in the grave quick as hell. Actually, not that
Dude,
quick.
watch
it took like
Freevee.
7 years.
Freevee, man. Freevee's gonna like call you for that show.
I hope somebody calls.
Okay, so what's that show?
So in the pilot, it like goes back in time in my life, and I worked in a bakery, and I worked in a bakery for like 4 or 5 years and was the manager. And I feel like there would be a good, and because I wanted it in the show, so there's like behind the scenes stuff, there's stuff in the kitchen. I
Nice.
used to deliver wedding cakes.
Pressure.
And we put a wedding
Holy
cake
shit.
scene in the pilot where fictional Sam and fictional Dennis are driving the van
Yeah.
and dropping off a cake, and Sam gets the shits and like almost fucks up these people's wedding by shitting in their wedding. And so like maybe there's a like backstage bakery show
Yeah.
I could make.
It sounds like the perfect like compliment to the bear.
Yeah, right? And because everyone thinks like bakeries are like so sweet and nice, and it's like your grandmother making muffins. And the bakery where I worked, my boss, Judy, had this deal with a work release program. So our kitchen was full of like giant hardened criminals like making pedophores.
Yeah.
Which is like that needs to be
I mean,
on.
that's like drama. Like people with like, like an axe tattoo, like delicately making a pedophore in chocolates.
Yes.
I mean,
It was an incredible experience. She used to make cookies for Starbucks. She made lemon knots and
yeah.
carmelitas from way, way back in the day.
Oh,
And
man.
so there was a whole cookie production crew, and everyone was yelling all the time. And I was like, oh man, I thought it was just like cute people making cupcakes. But
No.
no, it is people screaming at
Hardcore
each
shit.
other,
Yeah.
sweating,
Yeah.
yelling.
You,
I'm
you,
gonna maybe I'll make that show.
I feel like that show will happen. You've got obviously the chops to make it happen. Now, you probably picked up some skills working at a bakery. Are you pretty good with the oven?
I'm pretty good, but my wife is
Oh,
the baker, so I don't get in there because I don't want to make her feel bad. No, I'm
oh,
just I'm just kidding.
I love it.
I do savory and she does the sweet, but I'm a pretty good baker.
I bet you are. Now, okay, observation about Kalamazoo. Have you gotten into like the cream cheese frosting zone in Kalamazoo? I feel like everybody is using cream cheese frosting at some point.
I haven't seen not
Oh,
in
man.
Kalamazoo, not yet.
That's the one thing.
We're not there yet.
Not there yet.
You know what I like? Do you remember Sarkozy?
Yeah, I do.
It's still there.
Yeah, I know.
And like I feel like all of the bakeries in town make very grown up pastries, right? Except for Sweetwater, which makes like things for children.
I took Taekwondo next to Sweetwater. I went to Master Chung, and I definitely went Master Chung, breaking boards, and then got that glazed cherry.
Oh,
Let's go.
But they're like a place that has like Oreo cookie
I know.
donuts, and you're like, what the fuck? I'm
Yeah.
like 100 years old. I can't like eat that. But the other bakeries like Victorian and Sarkozy have those very adult, like not sweet.
Yeah.
Where you're like, where's the sugar? So the thing is, maybe I should open a bakery.
Wait, are you serious? Do you want to do that?
So my wife's dream is to like have a little bakery.
This is real. This is not a bit. This is real.
It's real.
Let's
She
go.
wants to have, so she's a social worker.
Yeah, of
which
course.
like, you want to die after being a social
Yeah.
worker for 20 years.
Oh, she's 20 in. She's got pension coming.
No, because
Oh, no.
schools got rid of it right before she started.
Oh, my
so.
mother, 17 years kindergarten teacher, so knows that deal. Yeah.
So I am her pension.
Oh man.
So I got to figure out a way to get rich so that I can afford to lose all my money starting a bakery.
The low margin business of restaurants and bakeries. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is her dream, and I'm hoping to make it a reality eventually.
So okay, let's workshop this. So it's a bakery. Is it a cafe? Is there other elements to it? Or are we doing straight like baked goods that are a little bit sweeter? I'm hearing there's a need for like sweeter pastries, but like a little more polished.
Okay, so in my mind, it's very cute, and
Yeah.
it's the kind you want to like hang out
Right.
in. You want to like put, take out your book, do your little laptoping.
Cool crowd.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like very cool. But not too studenty, because Kalamazoo's a college town.
It's a college. That's like burying the lead about Kalamazoo. It's an absolute college town. It's got Bilbo's Pizza, which is like number 9 of 10 for me. I can't fuck with Bilbo's.
No, it's gross. Bilbo's and Bimbo's Pizza.
Dude, I know. I know. Bilbo's and Bimbo's.
Bimbo's right next to the bar with the mechanical bull.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's all class. Okay, so it would be, like Sarkozy is very cute and clean. I want it to be cute and clean, but actually have like, I shouldn't say actually, but have like delicious pastries that I would like.
I love that. Would there be a coffee program?
Yes.
Sam? Okay, good.
Yeah, Kirsten's a big coffee person. I don't know anything about
Oh, yeah?
coffee.
Do you ever go to Factory?
I am
Okay.
super close friends with
Oh.
both Dan and Emily.
Dan's the best.
Of Factory. I used to have an office above Factory on Frank Street.
So that's
Emily and I shared a studio
I
up
was
there.
wondering because you mentioned this in your writing, and I was wondering if it was Factory.
It is.
On Frank Street.
Yep, on Frank Street. Me and Emily Emily's work, it's hard to work with an artist. Emily makes children's books. It's hard to work with an artist, like a visual artist, when all your art is like clickety clackety clack. You know what I mean? Like I can't turn the computer to someone and be like, look at this sentence, girl.
This
I'm
nut graph.
tearing it up.
Let's go.
But with like being surrounded by all of her work was like really amazing. And then we moved into a house where I could have an office at
Oh, great.
home. So I moved out of
I
it.
didn't really. So you know Emily. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, I know. Emily is in the
She's the
book.
friend.
She's the friend. She's the one I took to the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
She also is the one who saw me embarrass myself at the sushi
I
restaurant.
know. Absolutely. I'm linking to that essay from your previous work, and it's just absolutely everything you'd want from a lunch date gone wrong.
Yes.
But has
I
happened.
mean, luckily we became like best friends because
Yeah.
she is funny and has a sense of humor and like knew what was happening to me.
Factory is great roasting, though. I mean, legit, like great roasting there. I'm into it.
See, I don't understand roasting, but I'll take your word for
But
it.
you do understand Grand Rapids. Let's talk about Bosna.
Bosna.
Bosna is you shout out this place that I've never heard of. This you went there on, was it your anniversary or Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
You drove up 1 hour north in Grand Rapids. Definitely not known as a bastion of great food, to me at least, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Well, Grand Rapids has a lot of cute little places.
Love your West Michigan pride.
There.
Thank you.
I mean, I've been there 7 years. I have to start
Yeah.
like claiming it now if I'm staying. Grand Rapids has like the kind of cute little brunch places. They have Madcap Coffee, which is like
Great.
a very good coffee
Very
place.
good. Very good.
But Bosna, like you get off 131, you turn right. It's right there. It shares a lot with a Pizza Hut.
Uh-huh.
And you go in, it looks like a bar. It's like dark wood, the whole thing, lots of beers, and the most incredible Bosnian food you've ever had in your life.
What are you ordering? I'd love to hear this.
I get to eat in the car. I get
Yes,
fries.
you take it to go.
Yeah, always. I get fries with, they put like a lot of chopped up herbs and garlic and stuff on it, and they give you this dill sauce. I love dill. They give you this dill sauce to dip it in. It's outrageous. And then that's the appetizer. For the meal, I gotta get a gyro, always. But they don't serve it in a pita. They serve it in this Bosnian bread that's like puffy and soft, like what you actually like. Because like a pita, you gotta. It's like chewing an eraser. Or
Exactly,
something.
it's excess. You need a little bit of that crisp to it.
Yeah.
Totally
So they have these puffy breads and they put all the gyro stuff in, and it's really great. And then for later, I get a salad to take home.
Yeah.
With gyros on top.
Oh,
gyro
so it has
slices
the
on
gyro
top.
meat, so like the marinated or seasoned, highly seasoned meat.
Yes, and it's so good. Feta,
Oh, yeah.
tomatoes, cucumbers.
Have you gotten
the
into the
best.
Euro gyro conversation ever? People call them gyros here on the East Coast.
What?
They say gyro. Like, you look at me like I'm crazy. No. We have 3 people in the show of hands. How many people call it gyro? We have 3 producers.
What?
We have 2 out of 3. Shalia, what do you think?
For some reason, this is like the hill my mom chooses to die on. I'm from Massachusetts, and like I think most people say gyro. But like for whatever reason, she like gets like very proud. Like she'll go somewhere, and I think like a Greek man must have complimented her once because she'll just go like, "Oh, like I want a gyro," and like so it's like a
Correct.
thing. I was
Correct.
like,
She is right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shalia, for that.
Props to
Okay,
Sheila
so
Harris.
I grew up in Evanston. I grew up like down the street from the greatest Greek restaurant on earth. It's called Crossroads. It's small. It's cash only. It is amazing. If you are anywhere near there, you should go. And so I learned how to say all the Greek stuff early because we went there
Yeah.
all the time. And it's Euro. I cannot believe Greek people let you guys get away with
I don't
that.
know. It's some East Coast shit. It's like adding to your hatred for New York.
Yes.
We're just adding to it, right?
Another mark in the negative column.
I love it. Well, it's really fun to talk food with you. We could go on. So my wife Tamara ran into you at Trader Joe's, and she's a huge fan of yours. She was trying to be chill,
She'd
And-
never be chill with me.
but you had a wonderful interaction. You handled it. It was beautiful.
It was great.
And like I just think about you grocery shopping at Trader Joe's in Kalamazoo. Do people stop you? in Kalamazoo? I hope
Yeah.
so. They should be, because they're reading your books.
Yeah, at Trader Joe's once I was in the first of all, let's talk about, like, being at Trader Joe's. I only go for, like, the Trader Joe's snacks, and my wife likes the green wine. Like, I don't
Oh,
do my regular grocery
oh no,
shopping
but you get
there.
the peanut butter pretzel
Uh,
chocolate.
100%.
Yo,
Yes, like, 2 bags.
that's the
Have you
guy.
ever been to Horrocks
No,
in Battle Creek?
no, what's that?
It is like a warehouse grocery
Oh,
store,
nice.
and they have every exotic fruit or vegetable you could want.
Sam, let's go. Love
Yes,
it.
yes, we'll go. I walked in and, like, I almost started crying. I was like, "A green papaya?
Wow.
We got these little tiny, like, cucumber," like, they just have so much
Is it like a
insane stuff.
broker for the Midwest? It sounds like it might be something special.
Well, I know there are a few in Michigan, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
Yo.
I don't know the history or the deal behind it, but
I appreciate it.
it is amazing. Okay, at Trader Joe's only snacks, but meeting your wife was incredible.
Aw.
I love when people talk to me. The checkout person at Trader Joe's once was like, "I really love your work," and I'm
Aw.
like, "Listen, scream it, tell it, tell everyone." In Kalamazoo, it happens less often than it does in Chicago.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're and in New York too. I mean,
Yeah.
and I just like Sam. I really, really mean it. You are such a lovely human being, and your love for Kalamazoo is just it means a lot to me. I mean it. Like I'm no
Thank
bullshit. Trying to be
you.
honest here.
Like I think at first I was like making fun of it a little bit
Easy.
because I was uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? Like it
Mhm.
didn't feel like my home.
Yeah.
So I'm rejecting it before it can reject me.
No. Yeah. And
But I do love it. It is a good place. It's like progressive
yeah, it
and
is.
nice.
Yes, it is.
And like I haven't met a bad person
Yeah.
there yet.
Yeah.
Like everyone I've met has been amazing.
I have to shout out Rick and Stan's. You shouted like this is my favorite car wash.
Let me tell you, Rick and Stan, first of all, for the young ladies who might be listening in Michigan, the young dudes who work there, man,
Yeah.
I
Smoke show?
bought,
Yeah.
gorgeous. I bought, this is what a pervert freak I am. They have, I am currently paying them, I believe, $29 a month
Ooh.
for unlimited car washes. I've been doing it for 6 months because this little cutie was like, we have a deal on blah, blah, blah," and I was like, okay. Guess how many car washes I've gotten? 2.
Hey man.
I am
1450.
hemorrhaging money there.
1450. It's worth it.
But it is the best. During Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they do use pink soap.
Bless them. Wow.
And
Absolutely.
like there's like a stoner dog as like their mascot.
The most Kalamazoo has like a real 90s like Gen X kind of, and that stoner dog fits into that.
Yeah, it is the best. The dudes there, like I said, hot, also nice. I never drive like into the right, and they're always like, no, sweetie, over a little.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay.
Glad we could give
I'll
them a
tell
shout-
you where to get over
I'm
a
glad
little.
we could give them a shout out. Well,
Me
thanks.
too.
Sam, we asked all guests on Taste Podcast if you could write a cookbook or food culture book without the burden of time, meaning you have no deadline,
Mhm.
or the burden of budget, meaning you have all the money in the world to execute this idea.
Mhm.
What would that book be?
It would be an IBS cookbook for sure.
Love
but
it.
like not like a medical one. It's like I don't want to research or talk to any doctors, right? Like that's terrible. It would be like, here are recipes that I eat when like my Crohn's disease is flaring or I've just gotten food poisoning. And basically it would be like applesauce.
That's a whole chapter.
Yes. How to make so like I have all these ways of like zhuzhing up rice if I gotta. Okay, let me tell you how to cook your rice. Toast it in a little oil. Throw a handful of garlic cloves in there. Some loose chicken bouillon and quarter an onion, throw it in, and then cook the rice as normal. It's the most delicious rice
Are
you'll
you
ever
putting? So how
have.
much liquid are you putting in? Just like you're talking about, like just a bouillon liquid?
No, no, no. Okay, you have to go to the Mexican section of the grocery
Yeah,
store
yeah,
and get the like shakeable
yeah.
bouillon,
Of
not a
course.
cube,
Nope.
not that better than bouillon. Although I mean, we use
Oh,
that,
it's
but
better than bull. I mean, dude. Yeah, I love
but
this stuff.
I'm talking old school, like shake a little chicken flavor
Oh
into
yeah.
your rice, and that is my
Goya has a
go-to.
great brand. I love
Yes,
that.
that's what we use.
Yeah,
We use the Goya.
yeah.
Well,
Their politics fucking suck though.
oh, they
They
do.
had some bad, but that's just let's just not go there. But anyways,
Well, I don't watch the news, so I just
anyway, I didn't mean to
blocked out
digress.
what you said.
This is so great. So this, you have ideas, you have a recipe list.
Yes. Yeah. I would need like someone who actually knows how to make food to give me some more ideas
Yeah.
other than what I do. But if I could make a cookbook, that would be it.
IBS is great. I think Sam Irby, this is gonna happen. I know it's
I
gonna
hope so.
happen.
I told Allison Roman, my homegirl,
Yeah,
I was like, when are we doing the IBS cookbook?
collab.
And she ran screaming from me, but someone will. Someone will.
Someone will pick up the torch
Mhm.
and make that happen. Well, Sam Irby, thank you so much for joining the Taste Podcast.
Thank you for having me. This was the best.
Clare DeBoer, this is Taste. Hi.
Hi, Matt.
So nice to have you in.
Yeah, likewise. I'm a big listener.
You've hit me up on Instagram about that. I really appreciate you saying that. I know you said you'd caught a number of episodes and now you're here in the studio doing our own.
Yeah, Hannah Goldfield's my gateway. I listen to everything that she does, and that's how I was introduced to you.
Bless Hannah for that one. I think Hannah is a real, and I can't wait to see what she's up to at the New Yorker. I know there's some changes happening there, and there's going to be some cool things happening. But okay, you blessed us with some apartment 4F croissants and bread. Thank you so much for waiting in line for us.
Yeah, well worth it.
Now, like, this conversation is going to be split into a couple parts because Stissing House, and I've been on record on the show, is one of my favorite restaurants in the past several years. It's up in the Hudson Valley. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about your career in New York at Jupiter and at King, where you are a co-owner and co-chef at both. But we'll also talk about your Substack because you like to write. And, you probably fill up your time with a few more other things. I'm joking.
Mainly like picking up after scooter crashes, and everything that comes with having 3 under 4.
Yeah, 3 under 4 as well. That's a little bit like that's a little footnote, but not really. You have a lot of young kids running around. All right, but I like to start by asking, we have a lot of listeners coming into New York this fall. What's good right now outside of your restaurants? What are you enjoying?
I feel like I'm the most terrible person to ask. I really haven't. I'm a cave woman. I haven't sort of left. I've been upstate all summer on maternity leave with a newborn, and we just got back to the city for back to school. These croissants from 4F are fantastic. The first place that we stop on our way back in is always New World Mall.
Yeah.
There's a chongqing noodle soup in the food court that sort of brings us back, and we're always hankering for really spicy food after sort of being holed up in Dutchess County. So that's the first stop.
Yeah.
And then we love going to Servos. We get to go out like maybe once every 6 weeks. We go for dinner. That's the first.
Just the two of you and your husband. Yeah.
And the newborn. So it's
Oh yeah.
a two-top.
Two-top.
A two-top. We're a restaurant's favorite. We're a 5 p.m. Really quick turn.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me, how do you split your time between Stissing House and your other restaurants? Are you up at Stissing House for chunks and then you come back down?
So our life is very much led by the kids. So they're in school. Last year we were Monday through Thursday in the city, and then Friday through Sunday upstate. Now we're going to be here for the full week. But, opening Jupiter, I was there very intensely. Opening Stissing House, I was there very intensely. King is a very mature, well-run restaurant. And I really haven't been back on the line there or even sort of managing actively since I had Abe, my first, who's nearly 4.
Mm-hmm.
So the exec chef there now is Anne Helles. We call her Tina. She's fantastic. We've worked with her for many years. And Jupiter, the exec chef there, is Lucy Gibson. And she was a senior sous at King, and we worked with her for several years as well. So there's really fantastic teams at both. And likewise at Stissing House, it's taken quite a while to find the people that can really make it work. But we've got an awesome couple that I mentioned, Roel and his wife Jessie.
Yeah.
And
CDC and pastry chef.
Exactly. And they've got a fantastic son who's been living in the restaurant all summer as well, same age as my eldest.
Oh, okay.
So it's a family affair.
Yeah, 4-year-old running around that beautiful place. Well, we'll get to Stissing House and really talk about what you're doing up there, because it is absolutely a special restaurant. Let's go back to your life growing up. What was food like growing up? Where were you growing up?
Food was very, very good.
I'm sure
I was in the UK in the countryside until I was 4, and then I moved to New Delhi, India. I lived there for 7 years, and then moved to Dubai.
Yeah.
So lots of grandma's cooking in the early days. Lots of thalis, rotis, dal for the next decade.
Yeah.
And then on to some very good Middle Eastern food.
My goodness. This is what a blend of upbringing. Your upbringing really showed you the world of food.
And I think the world of hospitality as well. I really can't think of sort of more welcoming cultures than sort of the South Asian and Middle Eastern. There's a way of welcoming, and you walk through any door and the first thing they're like, "What do you want to eat? Can I get you a cup of tea?" So yeah, a masterclass there.
Yeah, and you find yourself at the River Cafe, and you're working the line there, and you're working through the stations. What's it like at River Cafe? What's your career like there? What's happening in your career? Because you ultimately went on to run several restaurants and chef, but was that like a really formative part of your life?
Oh, totally. The place is singular. When I decided that I was thinking about cooking, and I went to work for Ottolenghi in London. And I did a little bit of time there and fell in love with sort of the intensity of working on the line. And I really wanted to work at the River Cafe, so I kept going there and saying, "What does it take?" And they were kind of like, "Get lost, but also, you could go to cooking school as a starter." And I said, "Great, tell me where." They said, "Ballymaloe."
Oh yeah.
So off I went, and I kind of, I just kept showing up, and then they let me into the kitchen. And after a while, I was like, "Do I work here?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yes."
That's kind of how it was. Like you just like kind of like started picking up the knives in the kitchen and just, like sitting around.
But it's an amazing place. I mean, they sort of there's no compromises.
Yeah.
The food is fantastic in terms of the produce and the variety of things you see as a cook, because the menu changes every day. You really get a whole education from butchery to fish, veg. You learn everything. Pastry and pasta. Or when I was working there, they didn't have a pastry chef, so all of the line cooks cooked everything.
That's amazing. What a cool thing to have like foisted upon you.
Oh God, amazing. And I think beyond the food, it's a very special place. Because it's a holistic dining experience that is not imitative of anything else. It's got its DNA. There's a tremendous amount of style. And it's the kind of food that is special, but you want to eat it every day, which is exactly what I want to cook and eat.
Very cool to say that. I mean, it's like Chez Panisse in many ways on America's West Coast. And what can you say about Ruth Rogers and learning from Ruth Rogers?
I think the biggest thing... I mean, she's an icon. She's she's one of the many trail. I think when we opened King, everyone was like, "Oh wow, this is so unique." But I've never felt like a trailblazer in any sense, because we're 100% riding on the coattails you mentioned of Alice, of Ruthie, of Dorina Allen, of Ballymaloe. Well, there's no shortage of these absolutely incredible women that we've sort of had the privilege and the pleasure to cook alongside.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're being modest. I think each restaurant has its own individual identity. The pedigree does matter, but it's not everything. And I'm sure that time at River Cafe made you really think about hospitality as much as cooking, right? Because you're in the back of the house, but you also were understanding how the restaurant flows, right?
Yeah, you get to see everything there because of the open kitchen.
Exactly.
I think connecting the two, all of my favorite restaurants connect the two, and it's not really a separate sort of front of house and back of house. I mean, as a cook, I remember the most, my favorite part of being on the cold line there, you got to dress a salad and taste it 3 times in the process.
Yeah.
And then you got to put it up on the pass, and then you could also watch the person whose salad you made take that first bite. And that loop of pleasure of tasting it and knowing it's delicious, and then watching someone's eyes sort of pop a little bit.
Is that what you look for? Is it eye contact?
Yeah, I mean,
Look at the eyes.
I'm not looking to make eye contact with them. I'm
Right.
watching for the contact that they're making with their food, and
Sorry,
that
that's what
kind
I
of
meant.
like intense moment. And the thing about having an open kitchen, which we've had, replicated at King and at Stissing House and even Jupiter, where it was really kind of a challenge to get that to happen. That's the joy of cooking for me, is the joy of feeding people and sharing that. So I think the River Cafe was sort of the first time where I was in a professional kitchen, actually Ottolenghi's as well, but getting to watch people enjoy the food, and that's really what it's all about, just the simple pleasure of eating.
And those eyes popping out of their
Hopefully, not always.
Eye-popping
Sometimes
salad.
it's like, who on earth made this? Send it back.
The big salad at Stissing House, it's called the Big Salad.
Yeah.
And really, you've got a real thing for salads.
I do. I'm a salad fiend.
Well,
I'm
you're
an
a
absolute
pro.
salad fiend. They're never big enough. I mean, there's a couple of places in the city that do, obviously King does an incredible salad, but I always order all of them. Romans and Fort Greene.
Yeah,
They
it's a good
often they've got one that's always very large, and they've got sort of a smaller one. And you have to get both.
You have to get both.
But-
I haven't been to Romans in a minute. I gotta go.
I like a sort of a salad with a side of main course.
Absolutely. And I think the big salad, it's definitely, you gotta cut the radicchio or the large greens in there. And I just like sometimes just eating with my hands. I'm eating a salad with your hands.
Well,
and
you're a
it's
pro, Matt.
I'm trying.
You're a pro. You got to get the Jake Scooter and the ham, and then you've got to sort of
Yeah.
form a radicchio sandwich with it.
Let's go to 2016 to King. It's a collaboration with two partners, Andy Shee and Jess Shadbolt. And, I've followed the journey through media. I've heard you on some podcasts talk about it. But it sounds like you really, really bootstrapped that thing to existence. Tell me about opening King.
I'm trying to go back and actually remember it, because I have this thing we've been asked so many times about those early days that I feel like I'm remembering what I've said about it rather than the reality.
Let's go reality.
You framed the question differently. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what do I remember? I remember my mum scooting around on her hands and knees, using a cutting board on her knees, scrubbing the tiles in the kitchen before we opened. I remember our gas being turned on the same day. I remember not being able to get credit with any of the distributors, and
Because
also
of your
having
newness?
no track record, no sort of social security numbers, and I remember also not having the money in the bank to necessarily buy stuff. So we got a Goodwill credit line from the deli on the corner.
Wow. Just to get some essentials?
A little bit of sugar, half a cup of flour. It was really, but it was wonderful because nobody was watching us.
Yeah.
We had no reputations to sully. Like it was, we were young and very free. And we took a really long time to sort of come into our own. We knew what we wanted to do, but we couldn't, we didn't necessarily always execute that. But because no one was looking and no one really cared, we had time to sort of make mistakes in private, which was a real gift.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it really took around six to 9 months for people to start paying attention. And by that time, we had some, excellent pork chops, and we had a freezer that worked. And
Okay, the freezer. So your mom's in the kitchen scrubbing the floor because she's being a mom?
Yeah, she was being a mom. It was a real project. It was a really family project. Annie's mother was washing the windows. I've still got a photo of her standing on the dumpsters out the back with a squeegee doing her part. And Annie's dad built out our entire trash room. It was pretty gross. And he was like, "This is not good enough for Annie. We're gonna, and I think he spent the entire Christmas 3 weeks doing us a favor because we didn't have the funding at that point.
So he just built the room where you
he
keep
built
the
it out.
trash.
He built it out. It was a real it was.
Restaurants are gnarly. Restaurants are like 10x gnarly in New York. It's just a really tough place. Wells would eventually shower praise on King. It would rise to fame, and it's still busy today. It's Fashion Week now. Is it pretty poppin' this week?
Yeah, there's been a couple of Fashion Week events.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Pete Wells named it in a roundup that he did recently, and yeah, so it's hopping.
So you're doing a cookbook. When's that out with for
Oh,
King?
God, that's a great question.
Yeah,
Your guess
sometime.
is as good as mine.
Sometime. So definitely, I'd like to have your partners back to talk about that book when it's
Yeah,
out.
we've got to. It's been great working on it.
It's really cool to hear about King, and you know that was 2016, and since then you've opened Jupiter at Rock Center. But I do want this to be the Stissing House portion of the conversation, so let's go there. It's one of my favorite restaurants right now, and I've been 5 times in maybe 14, 16 months. I live like an hour and 10 minutes away.
That is a bit of a commute.
It is, but you know,
Commitment.
I say this not to like flex. Like I like to drive to restaurants. It's more when I find a restaurant I like, I go there a lot. And you've done this, so I'm really just for my own selfish ways. But I think our listeners should make the trip up to Pine Plains. Tell us, how did you find this very unique space? I love that. That's one of the big charms of the space. Is the space?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible building. Yeah, I mean, during COVID, I got a call from a friend of a friend who lives in Pine Plains, and they said, "Listen, I'm buying the building. I'm looking for a chef. Will you come and take a look?" And I had just we had just signed the Rockefeller Center deal. I had found out I was pregnant with my second son the same day.
So timing wasn't great.
Timing was utterly horrific.
Yeah.
Utterly horrific.
Yeah.
Utterly horrific. And my husband was like, just go take the meeting, whatever. So we went together and I walked in, and I honestly hadn't felt that way in so long. Totally moved. You know, the building's from 1782.
Wow.
And if those walls could talk, it's been a motorcycle bar. It's been, you know, the Marquis de Lafayette slept there.
That's really amazing.
It's been all sorts. It's got the oldest ballroom in America. If you have a fact checker, you should run all this by.
No, we'll have a fact checker, but the upstairs is a private dining space and a ballroom, and it's still very much.
And we have amazing parties up there.
Yeah.
I couldn't not do it. It was completely unreasonable and irrational, and would turn out to be one of the, you know, like all the best things in life, incredibly sort of challenging things to get off the ground.
What was the state of the place when you got there? And you mentioned it was a biker bar. I've heard from service.
Yeah, no,
there.
it had most recently been a wonderful French restaurant run by Michelle and Patricia, who now have a restaurant down the road. They had been in operation for, I think, a decade or more, and they had decided to close down during COVID, and the building was purchased. So the restaurant was really in working order. It had sort of 20 layers of wallpaper and lots of rugs, and the kitchen was closed, was mostly closed off. And so we redid. The goal really with our sort of renovation of the restaurant was just to sort of restore it to our fantasy of its glory days.
Yeah.
We stripped everything off, put fresh lime wash on the plaster walls. We did everything as much as we could in keeping with the time.
You can't like fake the patina of the beams and the walls, and you've got a great parlor with a hearth, and you got some cool comfy furniture in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it does all the hard work for us.
The food. We'll get to the food. The food's okay as well. But let's when you're in that space and you're thinking about opening a restaurant built around an open flame, open earth. How are you thinking about that? Because I think it should be stated more that this is really hard to do, to run service, a busy restaurant, big restaurant with open fire.
Yeah. There's no gas.
No gas
in the front kitchen.
Wow.
In the front kitchen, so everything on service is coming out of the wood oven or the wood-fired hearth.
I thought you maybe had some sneaky gas lines.
We have gas lines in the back
for baking and all that.
We've got an electric oven. We had practically no working oven when we opened, but we were gradually, as we prove ourselves, buying a new piece of equipment sort of every few months, and we're almost there. It's always a work in progress. It's hard. I mean, I didn't go into it with much wood-fired cooking experience. We cooked, we had a wood oven at the River Cafe, and so I had sort of blissed the lemon tarts in that, and roasted potatoes and cheese. But it has been, I've learned so much from the cooks we've had who've got a lot more of wood fire experience than I do. Roel, who is the CDC there at the moment, has spent decades and decades cooking over coals. So it's really fun to get to work with him. My absolute favorite thing to do on the hearth is put oysters with just a large knob of butter directly on the coals, and the shell sort of acts as a frying pan, and they sizzle and steam in the butter, and then you take them off with the tongs and blow it a little bit, just so it's not going to scorch you, and tip it back. And that's perfection.
It's great. And let's talk about cooking over coals. Like New York City, it's essentially banned from New York City.
Yeah.
So you're finding talent. And my question is about, you're up on Pine Plains, about an hour and 45 from the city. How are you staffing? It seems like that's a big challenge anywhere in America, but you're kind of like not in the most hotbed of people in the restaurant world.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, what I've learned: don't hire people that are looking to date. We've had, or find them a partner quick. We've had very bad luck with anybody that is, on looking to Tinder in Pine Plains, and very good luck with anyone that's sort of
nesting.
Yeah, settled, nesting, happy to have nowhere to go other than their own backyard. So it took a while to sort of form our what I hope is our sort of forever crew. But we've got a fantastic general manager, fantastic director of feasts, and the chef and pastry chef that I mentioned, and they all were lived in the city and had long careers sort of all over the world, and came to the Hudson Valley post-COVID to sort of for their next step, and we've been.
It's amazing.
Very lucky to.
Do you move them up? Do you find them spots to live? I mean, that would be challenging, I would imagine.
They've all either had housing or found their own. But it's definitely not as affordable as it once was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, there's a real renting scarcity up in the area. But it's remarkable that you have such great service, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, though I love it. I live up there myself. Let's talk about the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
Owning a restaurant in the Hudson Valley, what's it like for you to think about, seasonality, but also just like all the products around you?
Yeah.
You name farmers on your menu. What's it like cooking there?
It's such a privilege. We started living there part time and had our house there sort of, I think, 5 or 6 years before I opened Stissing House. And I think in the city people talk about sort of farm to table, and it almost feels like marketing speak. I think those words have lost a lot of value.
Yeah.
And Stissing House is surrounded by farms on all sides. If you drive there from any direction, you end up passing, everywhere from sort of Fat Apple Farm to Sugar Hill, and so those are the guys that we work with. I think the goal with the food at Stissing House is to have very low ego, low ambition, and just really have a sense of place, reflect, show off all the work that everyone in Dutchess County and beyond is doing, raising their animals and growing veg, and then just cooking it simply over the wood fire. It's nothing new. It's nothing flashy. It's just, a good roast chicken and a beer.
Yeah.
I think that's what
a big salad, of course.
And a big green salad.
I feel the way you've just articulated that is super honest, and a lot of farm to table is put on like a pedestal and kind of like used as marketing jargon. But to cook it simply is not easy. It's actually the opposite. To cook simply over wood is like the hardest thing.
Yeah, because you're not just dealing with the food, you're dealing with the fire. You've got two ingredients, and you're constantly trying to sort of make them work together. And, at King we have gas, and you become you're controlling it.
You're writing recipes to temperature.
Yeah, you're controlling it, and I think what do line cooks do predominantly working on gas? It's all about turning your flame up and down, deciding which pan you pull, whether one that's preheated or one that's cold, depending whether you're trying to get a dish out in 12 or 10 minutes. There's all these things that you're playing with. And you know what all the factors are, and you're controlling them. And then when you're cooking with fire, you're doing the exact same thing, but instead of twiddling a knob, you're doing 10 things to get that equivalent adjustment in temperature. It's how dry your wood is, how thick you've chopped it, what variety of wood you're working with. We work with almost exclusively with ash. We work with a lot of fallen trees that are of different varieties.
Yeah, the borer is like really tough up there.
Yeah, totally. So loads of ash trees are dying because of the emerald ash borer. So we work with a lot of ash, but so all those variable factors in the wood itself, how long it's cured for, how long it's been in our basement versus, did we get a dump on our lawn and did it get dew overnight? And then there's, of course, how long it's been burning for.
It's remarkable how many factors. And then you add like, all the other, the shit hits the fan in the restaurants, and it feels like you have to deal with all those other issues too, not just, you're not just like turning on the knob of an oven.
But as with all things, the more challenging, the more rewarding as well. So it's a really, it's a very, it's a focusing thing to cook with fire.
Is this a reason you keep the menu pretty static? I feel like you don't rotate the menu in a way, and that's actually, I think, a real strength.
I think. To be frank, I think that's a matter of staffing and training. There's so many reasons. There's a real sort of format to the menu. We've always got oysters, the ham that we brine, cure and smoke, glaze in the wood oven. We've always got Jake's Gouda, and we've always got whatever seasonal pickles, and then we've got a couple of salads, scallops cooked in their shells, and so that there is a format, and more this season, I think, as we sort of established ourselves, we're a little over a year old. I think word has kind of spread amongst the farmers and the foragers, and we get a lot more people showing up to our back door saying, "I've got this. Do you want it?"
Cool.
And we're going with that. But there are absolutely some things that don't change, couldn't change, will never go anywhere.
I love that. Yeah, let's talk about who is Jake, because I feel the Gouda is always ordered.
Yeah.
You're like serving hunks
he's-
of cheese, and obviously I'm going to eat that.
Yeah, he's an incredible cheesemaker. Actually, him and Jake and his wife Sylvia.
Yeah, okay.
She deserves sort of equal credit, even though her name is not on the cheese.
Give her like year 2. Call Sylvia's Gouda.
Sylvia's Gouda. So they're a couple of cheesemakers up in Deansborough. And they're making Gouda truly in the Dutch style. It's almost parmesan-y in terms of the sort of salt crystals, but they use a cream. It's raw milk, and they wash with cream, and rather than sealing it with wax, which sort of allows the cheese to breathe a lot more when it's aging. And it's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. Like opening up a new, we get these giant wheels, and every time we open up a new one, there's sort of an instant carnival in the space. Everyone starts getting in there. The servers start, circling, and everyone wants a taste. And I think that there's something that's just so spoiling. This is the kind of thing that you can get in restaurants that you can't get at home, or that I want to get in restaurants that I can't get at home. You can buy Jake's Gouda almost anywhere, and it comes in, an inch thick slice, vacuum packed, and it's been cut and in that plastic for, you just don't know how long.
Yeah.
But when I go to a restaurant, I want to have cheese that is cut from the wheel, but please don't do anything to it. I want the simplest thing, but that is just slightly inaccessible to me at home, sort of unless I was serving 136 portions of Jake's Gouda a night.
Yeah, those crystals are unique. You're not going to get that with the vacuum seal, and and we can go on and on about the menu. I love it so much, and I really want to ask you about moving forward the next few months into the next few years. You talk about the large formats, and you have a lot of private dining up there. What do you want to do with Stissing? Where do you want to take it?
I mean, I have to confess that it's sort of a playground for me.
Mm-hmm. I get that sense. You're so creative, and it feels like you can do a lot of things up there. There's a lot of options.
Yeah, I mean, the space is big. The kitchen's got fire. There's so many sort of ideas at play. I'm imminently excited for a couple of things. We've got this incredible pizza maker, Anthony Mangieri of Una Pizza Napolitana. Yeah. He is coming up, and he is going to be, we're cooking together Pine Plains inspired pizza pies. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Love
He's
that.
going to be making, his number one pizza in the world, except with sort of Jake's Gouda and ham. And so that's going to be fun to get to learn from him.
When's that happening?
I think it's the second or third Monday in October. And then I love I love craft and basket weaving and broom making. And so I've got together with Deborah Needleman and we're going to be throwing a craft feast on December 10th. And at the moment, we're just in the process of sort of inviting. It's basically we're throwing a fantasy shopping event for that filled with like tons of food and a celebration of craft.
Yeah, that probably will be in the pages of Tea, obviously. It seems like...
I mean, we haven't got there yet, but...
Yes, sure.
But it's going to be... It's just... Yeah, there's so much room and there's... we can... This, last Easter I threw an egg hunt for kids. It all sort of starts quite selfishly with what would my what would I like, what would my kids like, and we had a massive Easter egg hunt and hundreds 100 kids turned out and we threw a feast for children in the ballroom, and I mean it was a wild sugar high. And then there's Pine Plains. There's the Festival of Lights where all the children in the town show up and get given decorations.
Oh, fun. And
decorate the entire town. And there are floats with lights on. It's just, there's so much community and there's so many talented people. One of our diners is a fantastic flautist.
Flautist, I think, is the right one, but I'll say flutist too.
And he is going to do... He's going to do a dinner upstairs where he just sort of walks around playing the flute. But it's kind of, there's just loads of room and space.
Community oriented.
And we've got such a strong team. We can really be playful.
I love it. Do you have any, do you make it out to the Hudson Valley for restaurants?
No. I'm rarely in any restaurant after 5 p.m. With the 3 kids, I cook at home. That's sort of the only place I cook is at home. And it's very important for me that I attempt to, make the attempt at getting my children to sit at the dinner table.
Well, let's segue to that because when you're at home, you're cooking for your kids and you're just cooking for yourself and you've launched a Substack, The Best Bit. It's cool. I like it a lot. And it's remarkable that you find time to do it, but you're doing it and you've put out more than one, so congrats.
I think I'm on number 4 or 5. I've probably got one I've got to do soon.
Yeah, you got to get, you need someone to you need an editorial calendar, keep going. Keep going.
It's not quite that professionalized yet. I write them with a baby in the carrier on my walks. It's something to, keep.
So what's the plan with this? What do you want to do with the Substack? I'll link to the show notes. Definitely subscribe to it. Check out Clare's work.
Well, I started it this summer just to keep myself company. I think my days normally revolve around talking about food, tasting food. I'm watering my plants on my doorstep and I'm talking to my neighbor about, what she made for dinner last night and why it was good or what, it's constant until the time I go to bed at night. And having a new baby and being in the country are two sort of extremely isolating things. So I started it this summer so that I could just share all the things that are on my brain.
Yeah, definitely download.
It's been really fun, and I've been so surprised by people's reaction to it. There's sort of an alarming moment when you realize that someone's actually going to cook a recipe you've written, and then the pressure is on, and then the next one you feel so much more. You just want to get it right for them. Yeah. If anyone's taking the time to cook something.
Well, we like your restaurants a lot, and we don't all know you. This is the first time I've met you really in person and had a conversation, but we like your restaurants. So I think that's really a big part of why your Substack is growing, and it's really exciting to read. Is we just know you know.
Well, it's a whole different ball game. Trying to do it at home with groceries that have been, delivered, pears you didn't get to squeeze.
Definitely,
show up.
But I want to hear that. I want to hear about those tips. So keep going. I know it's hard. I mean, this isn't obviously for money. This is for real passion.
It's also just a great chance to sort of improve one's writing and stretch your legs. I don't want to get to the point where I don't want to be static. So it's fun to just keep trying.
This is interesting. I've had a number of chefs reach out in the past few months specifically about this topic, and I actually am working with a great chef on a piece for Taste to come out in a few weeks. But yeah, it's chefs are thinking more than just what's on the plate, what's in the restaurant, right?
Yeah. I mean, these days everyone's sort of diving into all sorts, product and writing, and there's so much going on. I think it's an exciting time. I think that there's just so many wonderful things to sort of having your own restaurants and getting to feel like you're hosting a dinner party for people that you don't know every night. but I think, if you are the executive chef, I think, when I was at King, I was working on the line every day, and you were touching the food and you were cooking the food, and that's ultimately why I got into this business, because I want to cook and I want to feed people. And then as soon as you have two restaurants, you're kind of really at neither. You're here and you're there, but you can't cook at either of them. So I think it really makes, for me, like returning to the home, coincided with sort of having more restaurants, having kids, and that became the new center. But to keep learning, I think is the goal. And you get to do that by having amazing people work in your restaurants and getting to look over their shoulder and see how they do things differently, how they do things a similar way, having a conversation about it. And also for me now, I've started the Substack, and you read the comments and you're like, you put that much salt in it?
Yeah.
And it's like,
hell yeah. What do you think it tastes good?
Well, yeah,
Guys?
That was my initial reaction. Then I was like, wait, crap, 3 tablespoons. Man, something's gone wrong.
Oh, so it was a little bit of a
I don't know.
fudge.
It's been a topic of hot. It's been
Big T,
hot
little
debate.
T, kind of gets
I don't
a little
know.
mixed up.
Yeah. For someone that doesn't ever write recipes down and never actually cooks from recipes.
Yeah, 3 big T's can be tough.
It's a work in progress.
All right. Well, I really appreciate that you're actually writing and putting yourself out there, and I love it. So, on This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So, Claire, to close this interview, here's a little rapid-fire Fast and Furious taste check. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's go. The best morning pastry with coffee.
Plain croissant.
Just plain, no chocolate.
Yeah.
Love it. The best dessert period.
After lunch, like a fruity, nutty, wholemealy, sort of squidgy fruit cake. After dinner, scoop of ice cream or a sundae.
Love the specifics. Now, fruitcake I think about as a holiday thing, but it's not.
Not that kind of a fruitcake, like a cake with fruit in it, like a wholemeal peach cake, Dorset apple cake, that type of thing.
Love it. And you have the big coconut cake too at Sissing House every night.
Yes, that we get. There are riots if we take that off the menu.
It will not. It's great. It's big. It's bold, and it sits there in the dining room and sells itself.
Yeah, it does. You have to make eye contact with her when you walk through the front door.
It's so smart. I love that. The best bread.
Sparrow Bush, Grayling, the local baker who's making bread for Sissing House in a hearth.
The best music to have in your restaurant or dining room. It could be a band or a genre.
Well, I think this is so specific to the restaurant because the music really should sort of layer into the experience, draw you into it. I want to have sounds that are familiar to people to make them feel comfortable, but not lyrics they know, because I want them to be focusing on their conversation rather than sort of singing along. So, at Sissing House, you're having a beer by the fire, throwing your peanut shells in. You're listening to the Sounders, Taj Mahal, the band. Mm-hmm. King, we're a French and Italian restaurant, but we don't want it to be a theme park. So we sort of use more contemporary, but like really clean R&B and some jazz. So there's not too much noise.
Yep.
Very site specific.
Clean R&B is amazing. That's a great way to put it. I think it's like a little more like tempo is like moderate. It's not too up and down.
Yeah, and it also needs to you need to get the groove on as the night progresses.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to use the music if the room is not full enough to get the party started. It's not. It really depends. Time of day, how much light, how many martinis in. What's on draft, so many factors.
Is there an absolute no-go for a certain music genre or band?
Yes, I think that there's so many. There's certain songs that I used to love to play at King, and now they're on playlists all over the city, and that sort of automatically is a strikeout for me.
Yeah, I got it. All right, favorite New York City restaurant, classic edition.
Oh God, it's been so long since I've been out. Saravana Bhavan in Murray Hill. It's a South Indian spot actually that I grew up with. They had it in India and in Dubai, and they do the most amazing veg thalis. And it's been here forever. It's an absolute classic. Really light, the most delicious dosas, rasam, dal. Go there.
Love it. Favorite New York City restaurant, the new dog in town.
I'm going to go with my local winner in the park. Daniel Eddy has expanded recently to Prospect Park. And I go there every day.
Yeah, it's part of your routine.
Yeah, it's part
Are you running? Are you walking?
Are you joking? I'm picturing a stroller with three kids on it, sort of avoiding dogs because they're all traumatized.
Darting into the path.
Yeah.
Favorite fellow chef to hang out with?
Jess, Anne Helles, Lucy, Audrey, all of my compatriots at King and Jupiter.
Love that. Your favorite chef to learn from?
Oh, at the moment, I'm just really looking forward to making pizzas with Anthony at Stissing House.
Yeah, he's great. I really like his career a lot, moving
He's
around
so
the country.
humble.
He's a humble guy. He had
Yeah.
a place in Jersey, had a place in SF, a place in New York. Now he's going to be at Stissing House one night only.
Yeah.
And Monday in October.
Oh, yeah, I think it's the 23rd. Don't. Yeah, I think
Won't
it's
quote you. That's your favorite cookbook of all time?
Nigella How to Eat.
Yeah, easy one. Have you met her?
She's eaten at King a couple of times, and I've been excited by that, but I've not spoken with her.
Your favorite recent cookbook discovery?
I'm a cookbook hoover, but I actually recently this is Martha Entertaining. This is a very old cookbook. I recently picked it up at the Kent library sale, and I was kind of unaware of Martha pre-Snoop.
Yeah.
This is all new to me.
Oh my goodness.
And I
There's
don't.
like 48 books before Snoop.
And how exciting! It's like the Goosebumps series, and I'm at the beginning of the thrill. I love it. I love it. This is the 80s maximalist.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily cook from recipe books. I read them and I look at the pictures. And the photography is so transportative. She's there with like a wedding, carrying a wedding cake that's sort of taller than she is, in the most spectacular sort of center hall colonial farmhouse. And it's gorgeous.
I love Martha from that era, just looking so striking, beautiful on the cover, with that knowing smile.
Yeah,
it's really.
I'm new to it, so I'm.
You're new
I'm
to
at the
it.
beginning.
Have you checked out like the '80s television shows?
No, she's actually coming to do an episode with us at Stissing House in a couple of weeks. So this started in the name of research.
Yeah,
and now it's just like totally, for pleasure.
What are you gonna make? What are you doing with her?
So she loves the oysters. She's slightly mad for the pheasant. And then she also, I think, had a queen of puddings that she wants us to cook together.
That's exciting. Wow, having Martha in the house. I can't wait to watch that episode. It'll be really fun. Your favorite vegetable?
Favas in May.
Yeah, very specific. I love it. It's like a 2-week season here, right? It's like 2 weeks.
No, I make it last a little bit longer.
You make it last a little bit longer. I think I've had it up there. Okay. Your favorite, quote unquote, British food?
Jersey Royals, fish and chips, Victoria sandwich, Dorset apple cake, flapjacks, tiffin. I mean, that's a very long list.
It's a long list. Your favorite, quote unquote, Dutch food?
Oh God, Gouda.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's a real mission statement, having Jake's Gouda on the menu.
Yeah. An accidental one.
Yeah, I love it. A couple more. Your favorite sandwich?
The bit you rip off the baguette before you make your sandwich.
Yeah. I love that part. And you put a little bit of butter on it?
If it's soft enough and available.
If it's available.
If this is right, if this is right at the supermarket or the bakery, there's none of that around.
I love that. Last one. Your dream cookbook to write, personally, not a King book or a Stissing book, but you personally.
I guess, I mean, this is so reflective of sort of where I'm at now, but I would want a companion for the seasonal and sensual eater who's cooking within the constraints of sort of normal life. Lots of chaos, no farmers markets.
Yep.
And lots of mouths to feed.
I can't wait. I think you're on your way with your Substack. It's obviously a theme there, and you're on your way. And I can't wait to read that book. It's going to happen. I know it.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Clare de Boer, thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thank you very much for having me, Matt. It was a pleasure.
This Is Taste is hosted by Eliza Abarbanel and me, Matt Rodbar. The show is produced by Shalia Harris and Pat Stango and edited by Clayton Gumbert. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter for updates on all cool things that are happening.